Imagine that you're standing in a long line in Chinatown, in New York City, waiting to pick up your exclusive pair of sneakers from a pop-up event created by streetwear fashion brand HIDDEN.NY. And the first thing you have to do when entering is to sit in a waiting room, forced to watch a looping video edit of the world's most boring video as part of the immersive pop-up experience involving fake actors and props in a whole set designed to look like a 90s New York City high-rise office. I was asked to edit that waiting room video along with animating this logo and splicing in random analog video glitches. This commission request, which I received earlier this month, was so bizarre to me that I just have to share it with you. And now knowing the context, I invite you to maybe if you're high or something, just to
sit back and watch this video a couple of times
and soak it in for all that it is.
Now, I've found working over the last few years there are two kinds of people. There are some people that think in pictures and there are others that think in numbers or words. So if I want to make my words larger, I hit Command-Shift greater than. If I want it larger again, Command-Shift greater than. Now if I want to go down in size, Command-Shift less than, Command-Shift less than, Command-Shift less than. I think you'll find that as a great shortcut. It has saved me literal hours on the computer by using that in Word and other programs. So again, Command-Shift less than takes it down sizes, Command-Shift greater than will take it up. All right, so that's the second way that you can do the size. Number one, I want you to keep your crummy dog off of my brand new carpet. If you don't, I will shoot both you and your dumb dog. So there. Some of you may have noticed that you spent a great deal of time on your document and you got your formatting just right. You got your margins set just where you want them. You had all your tabs set just right. And then at the last minute you'll say, I want my document to look really good. I'm going to go print this on a laser printer. And you'll go over, you'll go down to your Apple store, or you'll go to another department in your company, and you'll stick the disk in the laser printer in another computer there, and it'll print out, and all your formatting has gone all ski-wampus on it. Everything's hanging all over the place. And this gets really frustrating, and some people think that it was something wrong with the second computer. The reason that this happens is that the image writer has a printing surface or a printing area that is actually 1/2 inch larger . Now I'd like to point something out on the computer here, and that is as I pull down this file menu, you will notice that the word hope does not appear. You will also notice that there is no such thing as Command-M for miracle. The document, all the computer, I guess, fools you a little bit, and that is as you're typing along and you see all the different words on the screen, you think it's remembering it, and it isn't remembering anything. A few years ago, I remember I wanted to play better golf, so I went out and bought a new set of golf clubs. A few years back before that, I wanted to ski better, so I went out and bought new skis. And I somehow had this strange feeling that if I kept buying new equipment, then I would get better. And so what I ended up being probably is the worst golfer on the course with the best clothes and the best clubs. And what I've noticed is we've got kind of that same little delusion when it comes to the Apple computer.
It can save money. Doesn't just
If any of you are using Spanish and you need the upside down exclamation point or question mark, you will also find those under your keycaps. So the keycaps will allow you many, and some of them, if you hold down your command key, will give you a different list. The only thing to be careful of is a lot of times you'll be looking for perhaps a little box to put into order blank. Many of the programs will show a box if there is nothing under that key. So be a little careful. If you see a box, a lot of times you'll type that and wonder why your box is not showing up. And I have found that if you'll ever remember why something does something or how it does it, it isn't as important that you remember exactly what buttons to push or what words to find in the pull-down menu if you remember how it's working. So we're going to be using cut and paste, and I've got a little way of remembering cut and paste. If you'll think back to the days of when you were in kindergarten, they used to give you a pair of scissors. Now in our class they had blunted ends so we wouldn't stab each other.
Stopping for replacement buses are just some of the ways King County Metro Transit fits around. They flew down the motorway with Dorothy pounding on the dashboard.
The ruler will command whatever you select in your document or whatever you're going to type. If I reach up here and I grab the first triangle, you'll notice it moves by itself, and if I move it over to here and let go, I get this. I want everybody to look at that paragraph. You'll notice now that my margin for the first line is right there. My margin for the rest of the paragraph is there. Does anybody see a nice use for that? Then if you started to type and didn't do a carriage return, you just type over the same letter over and over again. Well, Microsoft Word setting margins is exactly the same. So let's go back here to the computer for a moment. Well, let me give you a good example. Let's say right now we were going to do a lease for a piece of property. Now let's just pretend right now that we've got the people standing there in front of us and we're over on our Macintosh and we're going to type out the rules. And to set a margin, you'd go up on top of the carriage and there was a ruler along the carriage. And there was a button up on the top of the ruler, and you'd push that button down and you'd move it over to where you wanted your margin and let go, and that became a hard, fast margin. Well, most people reach down and hit their space bar 5 times. Actually, most people don't. Most people hit their tab key. And they'll notice that the tab key goes over too far. It goes over 8 spaces, but most people do it because it's easy. And we have a lot of people that are basically just messing around on the computer. Remember that the computer will only save a document when you tell it to save that document. You're going to bring down a ruler and we're going to make some changes. And you're going to wonder, will that change my entire document? Will it change what I'm going to type? Just remember that any changes we make in the ruler will only affect if your document's already open. If you do not select anything in the document, it won't change anything. I don't think that there is a worse feeling that anyone has ever had working on a computer. So again, the rule is, the ruler will command whatever you're going to type or whatever you select in your current document. And I think that'll make a little more sense here in a minute. Wasn't whiteout a great invention? In fact, I remember just sitting back with that and just painting all over our page, and we get these big lumps where the whiteout got a little too heavy. Font. Now under font you will notice all your sizes. We have, if you want to make it 12 point, select 12 point. If you'd like to go up to 24 point, you can go up to 24 point, all the way down to 9 point. By the way, 9 point has a special use, and that's for real estate contracts. But for those of us that had to do legal documents or contracts, we couldn't go through and white out our mistakes. And so then the real word processing came along, and the reason I go through all this is to drive home the point that the word processor allows us to make all of our errors on the screen before we put them on the page. And I still know a lot of people who, using a word processing program, Word or anyone, they'll go through, do their entire document, print out a copy, and then sit down and start correcting all their errors. If you're going to do that, then you might as well use a typewriter. Okay, so we go back up 12 point, all the way back up to 18 point. Now, by pulling down the font menu, you can also change the type font. Now, in the old Microsoft 3.02, it only listed a few type fonts here, and you had to go under the character dialog box to get all of the choices of all of the fonts that are in your computer. Now, you will find there's only, looks like 8 or 9 here in this computer, but if I had 100 in here, it will simply scroll down. You'll also notice that they have changed position. The points used to be down the bottom and the fonts used to be on top, and those are now in different positions. So if I want to change my type font, I've still got Workshop highlighted. Then I select Boston. There's what Boston looks like. If I want to select Helvetica, there's Helvetica. And on down the line, there's Times, which is what we started in. So for a quick way to change size or to change font, simply select what it is you'd like to change. Go up under Font and select the size and the type font that you want. You can save hours by increasing your level of expertise. You can save microseconds by changing your hardware and your software. Sit back and watch this video a couple of times. Bring your friends in, bring the people you work with, and sit down and watch this. Okay, so here we are, we're looking at our document. As you're typing through your document, if you know where you want page breaks, let's say I know right now that I want a page break after that paragraph, you can put in an artificial page break. And all you have to do is click where you want the page break and hit Shift-Enter. And you'll notice that Shift-Enter puts in a page break. Lady came up to me one day and she says, what I would like to do is I'm printing a book. I'd like the first 5 pages not to have any page numbers at all. I'd like the next 5 to have Roman numerals, and then I would like the rest of them just in Arabic numbers. If you're going to do that, you have to use style sheets or create sections in your document, and you can give each one of those a differing numbering system. And we'll teach you how to do that on the advanced tape. I've met with many so-called successful people as I travel about, and I found that the basics of almost any success, whether that be in a marriage or as a parent or academically or in a career, is what you think of yourself. So I used to give tests, and at the beginning of the class I'd give everybody an 18-question test that tested their self-esteem. Now I had a 3-page kind of an analysis depending on how many questions you got right. So if I gave you a test and you got 6 right, I had to type out 3-page analysis. If you got 8 right, I had to type out another one. And I used to spend all my time after these classes typing out these analyses. Let's say that some of you do customer service letters. And let's say that you have to do a lot of customer service letters, and first paragraph's always the same: dear customer, thank you for your inquiry. But then sometimes you have one of 3 different second paragraphs and one of 4 different third ones, and then your name. Well, all you have to do now is put in the first paragraph and call that customer 1. And then second paragraph, that's customer 2 ABC, and type in each one of them, put them in your glossary. And the third one, call that, the one says thank you for your order, the other one says drop dead. Sit back and watch this video a couple of times. Here are just a few little concluding remarks that I'd like to make. And that is basically everybody wants more speed. And of all the classes I've taught, I've only ever had one person raise their hand and say, I did. And I said, how did you get it off? And he said, I used whiteout. So let's go down and open up our glossary. Now, one of the things that I use the most in my documents, since most of the time I type letters, is I use my signature. Sincerely yours, Randall D. Smith, President. I'd like to put that in my glossary. So the first step to putting something in your glossary, now this can be 1 word or it can be 3 pages, it doesn't matter, is to simply highlight it. Now what you're going to do is you're going to come down under Edit and you're going to open up your glossary. So we open up our glossary. Now those of you in 4.0 will notice that there's a whole bunch of things already in your glossary. What I need to do now is give the item that I'm putting in my glossary a name, a keyword, the ruler view. Now what those changes are this. Back in the old 3.02, when you were just typing along, and also when you're just in galley view in Microsoft 4.0, if you do side-by-side columns, you do the commands, but you don't see on the screen what it's going to look like. The old what you see is not what you're going to get.
At the same time, you're having to cut.
So again, if you want to set your automatic indentation, by the way, 2.5 of these little marks over here happens to be 5 spaces, which is kind of standard. You can set that anywhere you like. If I move it over to here, you can see I can bring that margin or that indentation anywhere that I'd like. All right, so now every time that you do a return, you'll automatically, your first line will be indented. Now not only can I move the top part of that triangle to the right, I can also move it to the left. This is officially called a hanging indent, by the way. Sounds like something you get on your foot.
Line Giant said the problem has been fixed and service is running as usual.
We have got very speed oriented.
Northeast Sandy Boulevard. Earlier crash. Southwest